Let's begin with the data sources. So if you remember the data lifecycle management, data sources are the first component that you look at it. So the understanding of data sources is a very critical aspect in any of the data engineering activities. So you have to understand it in two ways. One is based on the frequency of the data source, and other one is nature of the data source. So when I mean the nature of the data source, right, it's categorized into three on a high level. It's like structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. So what is structured data? So structured data is like highly organized and has a predefined schema. So it will not go beyond that, and it will live within that boundary. So examples, you can take any RDBMS, you can take Oracle, SQL Server, Teradata, whatever, right? And the spreadsheets, like your Excel sheets or CSV or TSVs, the tab separated files, which have a defined schema. Okay, this data will have this number of columns, and this is the structure. So that is called structured data. And the next one is the semi-structured data. So what is this semi-structured data? It has a structure, but it will not stick to the schema that day one you will have a different schema, day two you will be having a different schema. It will keep on varying. Okay, so for example, you can take any JSON files or XML files, will have a hierarchical structure, but this hierarchy will be changing. Okay, so it is little complicated in terms of processing. And the next one is your unstructured data. This is very easy to understand. What is an unstructured data? Any data that doesn't have a structure to it called unstructured data. So this is like your PDF files, audio files, image, doc, text. Every time it will have a different structure. So it is very easy to understand what is an unstructured data, but it is very difficult to analyze. It's the most complex area of analysis. So now we understood the nature of we understood the data sources based on the nature of the data. Now let's go back and see based on the frequency of data source. Frequency is nothing but how frequently the source is getting updated. Just go back to your data lifecycle management, in which we talked about the ingestion outlines, right? In that we had a triangle, if you remember, the use case, the pattern, and the technology. So the nature of the data as well as the frequency of the data, which will help us to derive the pattern. Okay, so these are all the major frequencies that we are observing in our current trend. So the first one is the real-time data sources. So when I mean real-time data sources, it is nothing but it will constantly gets updated. It's like, for example, the stock market data, the weather data, the social media data. It will keep on sending some information, right? So this is called real-time data source. The second one is near real-time data source. So you just think about any systems which is getting updated within 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. There won't be any real-time changes, but there would be some near real-time changes. For example, the website traffic data, the mobile log data, right? All those things are near real times. And the next one comes as the daily data source, right? So when I say daily data source, it's typically at end of every day it is getting updated. The records getting standardized at the end of the day. So examples, the sales data or the point of sale data from a financial transaction system. So all this comes under daily data sources. And again, when I say weekly data source, it's again the same similar thing. The data which gets updated on weekly basis. So it's like the inventory data, customer satisfaction surveys. You have to collate everything. At the end of the week, you can publish the data, so that then it can be consumed, right? And then it comes the monthly data sources. You can easily think of these as monthly data sources, right? Like your mobile bills, electricity bills, and so on, so on. So these are all examples of monthly data source. The next one, quarterly data. Yes. I'm just giving this because Not typically every data solution will have all these kind of frequency, but as a data engineer you need to understand, so you could come across these names. So it's like every quarterly the data gets updated, the source system gets changed, so you need to ingest the data on quarterly basis. So for example, the earning report, economic indicators, all those things. And annual data sources, yes, it gets updated annually. It's like typically, you can see it in census data, financial reports of an organization, P&L reports. All those things are annual data sources. So with that, right, now you understood the nature of the data and the frequency of the data. Right, now let's go back a bit and see how these are mapping to the ingestion uh, process. So when I mean ingestion, you remember that story, right? The hard disk and USB and the laptop. So just translate that into this view and just think about it. When I say real-time data sources coming under streaming ingestion, means these real-time data sources will keep on stream the data to the data lake. And batch ingestion means these near real time, all the daily, weekly, monthly data will go undergo batch, which means like it will have a scheduled run. Okay, the same hard disk example you can take. You just connect that hard disk to your laptop and say every 1 hour I need the data to be copied here, so it will keep on running. That is called batch data. And if you say it should keep on, so I'm going to connect, let's say you have input and output ports to the same hard disk, and you are doing a copy data to the hard disk. At the same time you want to copy that to your laptop, then you can say this is a real-time data. I'm just giving a very lame example, an oversimplified example, but understand in this way, right? So these data are called streaming data. So now it's like, let's say take an example of the stock market, and you want to see the data on real time, right? So you have to keep on feeding the data. You should not stop at any point in time. So these type of sources are real-time data sources, right? So and the technology that is being used is streaming ingestion, right? And when it comes to batch, it will have a scheduled way of doing ingestion. So daily batch means at the end of the day around certain time the job will run, it will pick up the data from the source and put it into your target, that is data lake. So this is how it is designed. Now we'll go to the kind of a high level referential architecture, and then we will take it from that point.